can you still be tax-free if your business partner decides to live in the UK? I'm recording this video because one of my clients, he was in a partnership with another guy, and he said they moved out to Thailand, they're tax-free, and one of the guys came to me and said, I actually quite like the UK. I've found someone I'm happy with. I feel like I can look in properly. I've got my family there. That's just where I want to live. So some people may be like that. Turns out some people do prefer the UK to Southeast Asia. Now, we're going to answer here if you can actually still be tax-free if your business partner decides to live in the UK. So let's go over it. This is the structure that they had at the time, where one business partner was tax resident in a tax-free country, and the other business partner was resident in Thailand, where obviously if you watch this channel, you know that Thailand is only taxes you on remittance basis, only on the money that you bring into Thailand. So it was keeping his money outside of Thailand. And they had an LLC. It was owned 50-50, and both partners were paying no tax again. The partner 1 because he was tax resident in a country with no income tax, partner 2 because he was resident in a country with remittance basis tax system. So what happens when partner 2 says, hey, I want to move to the UK? The first thing that happens instantly, the moment he stops being a tax resident in Thailand and starts being a tax resident in the UK again, is he's taxed at the UK rates. So his 50% of the company's profits are taxed at a UK rates. Now, these are the rates. You might know them, you might not. First 12K is the personal allowance. You're not taxed on that money. There's then the basic rate on the next 37 grand, which is 20%. On the next 70 grand after that, you're taxed at 40%, and anything above that is 45%. You actually don't have your personal allowance anymore if you're earning over if you're earning money at the additional rate. So the tax rate actually goes higher. So these business partners are doing very well. So by extension, partner 2 would actually be taxed at the additional rate, which is 45% tax if we don't do anything. Right, so if you're watching this, you're saying, I'm living in Thailand, my business partner's in the UK, this is what would go on. So like, you are actually not affected. I'm just showing you what would go on, what would happen. Maybe you are the guy who wants to live in the UK, right? So if nothing happens, you're actually taxed at 45%, which is not great. But there's a better way to do this, and that is to have a holding company as the vehicle through which you own the shares of the operating business. So, as you can see, the company's owned, it's still owned 50-50. It's actually 51-49. I'll go into more detail about this at the end of the video. But basically, we don't want the UK to think that the management of this US company is in the UK, because then otherwise they might decide to tax the US company at a company level as well, which, obviously the US company doesn't pay any taxes because it's transparent for tax purposes, and all the profits just flow to the owners. So then the company's still owned 50-50, 50% the tax-free partner, nothing changes for him. But the UK guy, the partner who lives in the UK, now has the shares of the company, the profits of the company sent to a holding company, to a company in the UK. And then he owns the company in the UK. So from a tax point of view, this is what happens. They both pay 0%, as in the US company doesn't pay any tax. It's sent up to the St. Kitts for partner 1, no tax. It's sent up to the UK company. But now, once it lands into the UK company, it pays anywhere from 19 to 25%. So it's 19% on the first 50 grand. It's 25% on anything above 250K profits. And then when you take out the money, at least the first percentage for the first amount of money that you take out is 8.75 on the first 37.7K, right? So these are actually the bands, the tax rates when it comes to dividends. So when you have a UK company, you're actually taking out dividends for profits, and the tax rates are a bit better. So as you can see, it's 8.75 instead of 20%, it's 33.75 instead of 40, and it's 39.35 instead of 45. Right? But the nice thing here is we can actually choose how much money we want to take out. So let's go through some examples, because I know it's all fun and games talking about percentages and 19% here and 25% there, but let's actually see numbers. So first instance, company's making 240K US. It's split half and half. The guy in the St. Kitts in the tax haven doesn't pay any tax. The guy in the UK, however, pays 22% corporation tax. Again, remember how it was anywhere from 19 to 25%. In this instance, it's just 22%. Just give it to me. So they pay 22% corporation tax no matter what. That's money that comes in. The company has to pay that percentage, the corporation tax, no matter what. But now you can actually choose how much money to take out. And the optimal amount is this 37.7K personally. It's actually 50K, but the first 12K is tax-free because there's a personal allowance. And then this other 37% is only taxed at 8.75 because it's dividends. Ideal scenario, there's 50 grand that you receive personally, 12 grand through a salary, it's tax-free, the other 37K as dividends. So you can actually live off 50K. And like if you're disciplined, you can live off 50K. You only pay 29.7K taxes, which, only, but again, the company, there's nothing you can do. You live in the UK, that's just what you're gonna have to pay. And then you only have to pay 3.3K personally. There is another 43K here in the company. And what I recommend you do is you actually keep it in the company. Just keep it in the company. If you don't need it, don't pay tax. Because then this next scenario, if you actually decide to take out everything that you take out above this 50K, right? So after these 37K is taxed at this 33% rate, right? This 33.75 rate. So like the first bit is taxed at 0. The second bit is at 8.75. But like if you don't need money, if you don't need extra money, there's no reason to take more money out because otherwise, you're going to have to pay 33.75% to get that money instead of just the 8.75. So if you're smart about it, just keep the money in the company. We've gone through this example. I've got another couple, but it's like basically the same. Second scenario, the company makes $500,000. So again, it's 250K each. Guy in the St. Kitts, happy days, no tax. The guy in the UK, he has to pay 20%. Now again, let me correct myself. If you're following, you probably know this, but just for clarity, the company pays corporation tax on this income. The UK company pays 25%, and it has to. Like, there's, again, if you've got a UK company, this is just what you have to do. You have to pay, like, the company pays 25%. But we do it this way because if we didn't have the company, then this red arrow here would go straight to the partner, and the partner would be taxed at 45%. So this is actually like you're saving 20%, right? You're saving like 60 grand here by doing it this way. So anyways, 250K goes up to the UK company, the company pays 25% tax. And again, the optimal amount to take out is this 50K, right? The 12K that's tax-free from the personal allowance, and this 37K because it's only taxed at 8.75%. So again, personally, we only really have to pay this 3.3K to have access to 50K, which is, more than 4 grand a month. And maybe you want to take out some more money. That's fine. You're making more money. But just remember that anything that you take out that's more than that is going to be taxed at 33%. So here, again, for example, say you want to take out 100K, you leave 87K in the account. This is how much tax you're going to have to pay total. And again, this is a sum of corporation tax, 62K. And then the difference is what you're going to have to pay personally, which you're choosing to do because you can actually choose to pay yourself and to take out money. And again, you can see here, if you take out everything, the tax just skyrockets. There's no need to do it. What I recommend here, and again, we're going to go on to example 3, which is the exact same, just if it makes $1 million. And you may be reading this and thinking like, okay, this is a lot of money. Dude, you're young, you're ambitious, like you're going to get to this amount of money if you're anything like me. So just bear with me. $500,000. This guy, by the way, he's just living life. He's just saving. Here you go, 125K just by being a tax resident somewhere else. You want to live in the UK, you do you. The UK guy, the money, half of the money goes into the UK company. Again, this 25%, you have to pay no matter what. No matter what, this 25% needs to be paid. So this is 125K in corporation tax. And once again, what do you pay yourself? The same 37.7K at 8.75%. You pay 3.3K to take out 50K. And look, this, you can see the total tax here is 128K. Like 125 of it is because it has to, like it's corporation tax. That's just the way it is. But you can choose how much money you take out. And as you can see here, like the less money you take out, the better it is for you in the long term. Because like you're actually saving money by not taking it out. And then you may be thinking like, well, what do I do with this money in the company if I can't use it personally? That's what happens. Well, you invest in stuff. You can buy a house, you can buy property, you can buy stocks. But the secret here is to buy it through the company and not through your own name. Because think about it, you have this 321K still in the company. Let's say we're in this mini scenario where we've made $1 million, the LLC company has made $1 million, our own share of the profit is $500,000, 125K goes in tax, it is what it is. We only take out 50K and now there's like 320K in the company. Let's say we can buy a house for 300K. You probably can't, but let's say we do. Now the company has the house, but you still control it. It's still technically a house you can live in. Whereas if you have to take out the money, you take out that same money, Like, look, you're spending 120 grand more just to have it in your personal name. It makes no sense. And if you're new here, that's how the rich actually buy stuff. The rich don't own anything. They have companies that own stuff. So like, this is your path into being one of those rich guys, investing through companies. And that's the main step. And that's so simple. If you have the UK company as your holding, it holds shares in the LLC. It pays corporation tax, but it has to. But then you don't pay yourself personally. Don't pay yourself personally, just buy assets. So here again is the practical example when it comes to income tax, and let's hope my MacBook doesn't die on me. Again, the corporation tax needs to be paid no matter what. And this is how much tax you take out. And you can see that the more frugal you are with your lifestyle, the more money you're saving. Like if you want to take out 300k to spend personally, which I don't know what you'd need it for, but you know, and yeah, your Lamborghini and stuff, that's personal. So if you want to buy a Lamborghini, like you're going to have to pay this 98k in tax as well. But you can see like this is the effective tax rate. If you want to take out 50k, your effective tax rate is only 6.76. And the more money you take out, the more this tax rate goes up. And to the extreme, right? If you're taking out 100 million, for example, it goes to that 39.35, or just the highest rate for dividends. So just lesson for you, this is the most optimal thing. If you want to take out more money, then, you know, so be it. But just so you know, you want to be investing from the UK company, and the less money you take out, the more money you save. Things to be careful about. So you know how I mentioned the company, the operating company in the US should be owned 51-49. That's to avoid permanent establishment and control foreign corporation rules, which basically means we want to avoid the US company being taxed in the UK. Now you're saying, but the US company is already taxed in the UK. No, it's not. The US company is not taxed. And in fact, the guy who's in the St. Kitts, he just receives all the money tax-free. The guy in the UK, the UK company pays UK tax. It's not the US company that pays the UK tax. And what happens is, if HMRC deems the US company to be managed in the UK, then they'll also tax that US company as a UK company. So basically, the way around this is first off, we put ownership 51-49, so that is minority partner. Obviously, in practice, it's kind of 50-50. And on the operating agreement of the LLC, we'll actually state that the company cannot enter contracts from the UK. You get the UK partner, so he can't sign agreements and sign stuff from the UK, right? And this is just in case of audits, but we want to keep like a trail even formally. Board meetings, if you're making like less than $1 million a year, to be honest, you don't really need to have board meetings. You know, you just have Zoom calls. This is meetings that bigger companies have to like decide the faith of the company and of the business, and they decide stuff and they talk about stuff, and they have like all the junior people like taking notes and keeping a record of the board minutes. And those technically is like, for the record, that's where decisions actually happen and make place, strategic decisions. Now, obviously, you and your business partner, you work remotely, you might just be on a beach, like without your shirt on and just on Zoom, and decide to make a decision. But this at least is formally, you can show that board meetings are happening. That's where strategic decisions are made. Even if it's like a formality, just do it and make sure you hold them twice a year when the partners meet up and when neither of them is actually in the UK. Neither of you are in the UK. Maybe you meet up in Thailand. Maybe one of you is in, I don't know, Colombia, the other guy is in Malaysia. Have an online meeting there and keep a record of the board minutes, it's called. So then if they do have an audit, you're like, okay, look, the company, this US company is like actually minority owned in the UK. The UK partner cannot enter contracts from the UK, right? It's actually a company that owns the other half. It's not like a person. Board meetings are outside of the UK. Like no strategic decisions are made in the UK. The like partner in the UK cannot enter contracts from the UK. It's fine. We accept that this company is managed somewhere else. So this structure holds. So this is just what you need to be careful about after doing this. But this is how I would do it. If one of the partners is not paying tax, the other guy wants to move back to the UK, that's totally doable. Just make sure he has a holding company and he actually owns the company. So the US LLC is owned 50-50 between the guy who's tax-free and the company of the guy who's in the UK, who's obviously owned by the guy in the UK. That's the most tax efficient way of doing it. Hope you enjoyed it. If you're looking to move to Thailand and to legally reduce your taxes to zero, close to zero, I've created a 0% tax masterclass. You can find that in the first link in the description. Or if you don't want to wait an hour and actually get educated and you just want to talk to me 45 minutes, you can click the second link below and book a consultation call with me. Yeah, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.